Very few people wake up and say, I want to move out of my house that I've been in for 40 years and go live in an apartment.
Right.
Oftentimes, it's very emotional. So everyone starts that journey at a different time. So the approach is different.
Yeah.
Really, because you have to meet them where they are.
Welcome to In Good Company, eldercare in your backyard.
Today, we're joined by Emily Christopher, Sales Director at the Waterford at Iron Bridge, a senior living community in Springfield, Missouri. Emily brings nearly 5 years of experience in senior living following a 14-year career as a NICU nurse. Her passion for empathy, education, and connection shines through in how she guides seniors and their families through one of life's biggest transitions. Emily, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Tell me about the Waterford at Iron Bridge. What kind of a facility is it? What kind of people move in there?
Sure. So we are an independent living community. We have been in Springfield for 24 years. So we're very established and, we've done this a while. So we know what we're doing. We're a little bit different. We're not your traditional straightforward IL. So, meaning that independent living, you typically think of, like maybe 70s, early 80s, and fairly independent. We offer the amenities, but we are non-traditional in that when someone moves in, they can age in place, and we function similar to an assisted living because of some of the things that we have in place. So someone can move in and be very independent, but as they age or have an illness or a surgery and require that additional care, we can add some services in to help them and they can stay at the Waterford. So our youngest resident is 68 and our oldest resident is 101.
Wow.
So we cover a very wide age range, which I love. Because if you think of a 68-year-old and a 101-year-old, they're very different. So it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's very individualized, which you wouldn't think of traditionally with independent living. So we do have an on-site home care company that provides services if someone needs help with medication management, setting up their meds, medication reminders, anything like that, to personal care or helping them with their pet, take the dog out or take it for a walk. So we can add those things in as they need them and change them to be personalized and keep them in that setting and aging in place.
And those services are kind of add-on cost-wise, like they're paid separately to a different company.
They are.
Okay.
They are. But they're very affordable in 15-minute increments. So they're really only paying for what they need rather than that whole big umbrella cost and then getting it all but only needing part of it. You know, they can pay for what they need as they go. So it's very, very cost effective.
So how does it compare cost-wise to other types of facilities? And you're independent living right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, the other senior living communities that we think of are like 55 plus communities or assisted living communities, and then skilled nursing facilities and memory care. So 55 plus is going to be that you're in a senior community and you have a few amenities, maybe some transportation, maintenance free. They're doing all the work, but you don't have all the amenities like independent living with the meals and the housekeeping and laundry, transportation, 24/7 assistance. And then assisted living has, they're licensed. So they have nurses on staff and they have a medical director. So you've got that licensed care that you're really paying for. But independent living is private pay. So it is not funded by Medicaid or Medicare. The VA does have aid in attendance. You guys are probably aware of aid in attendance, and we qualify as a community where a veteran or a surviving spouse can live and take advantage of that benefit.
Okay. Does that cover the whole cost of
It's
the stay?
not the whole cost, but it is a big portion. It's about a third to a half the cost, which a lot of veterans or surviving spouses don't know about. So it really is a wonderful opportunity if someone qualifies.
Do you have different types of rooms that cost different?
We do. So we have a 9 floor plan, which is a lot.
Walk us through that.
I know. We have studios, 1 bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms, and we have 3 sizes of each. So really, a studio is great for somebody that has some mobility issues, or, they really are on a tighter budget. So they're going to be more cost effective, but they still have a full-size kitchen and big bathroom and walk-in closet. And then the 1 bedrooms have the 1 bath, and then 2 bedrooms, 2 bath is good for a couple. And we have other family units that live at the Waterford too. We have a mother and a son. We have sisters. We've had a brother and a sister. So there's other family units. It can be a family affair. So, yeah.
Can you give me just a rough price range?
Yeah. So at our community, it starts at $2,600 for a studio, and it goes up to $4,150 for our largest 2 bedroom. And that includes all the amenities. So you're not paying extra for all the things. So meals, which our chef has been there for 8 years. He's fantastic, Aaron Brooks. And it's an open dining hour. So residents come down when they want to. There's no set hours for meals. They just come down when they want to eat, so they can, be independent in terms of when they eat and what they eat. We have a big menu.
Yeah.
And then it includes weekly housekeeping, laundry, 24/7 assistance. Everyone has an emergency pendant. Transportation, lots of activities. You guys, our activity calendar is packed. Sometimes we will have 7 or 8 things in a day.
What's your favorite event of the year?
Favorite event of the year? I love our fall event, which we just had. And this year we had a band, so we had live music. We roasted s'mores on the back patio. We had grandkids and great grandkids there, lots of family. It was just really cozy. And it was just fun to have family and friends there. And it was fun. And then 4th of July, because Twin Oaks is right behind us. So they set their fireworks off.
Oh, perfect.
And so we have a huge firework display, and 4th of July is fun too. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So aging in place. So is there a certain, functional mobility qualification to stay there or anything?
There really isn't. It's different than assisted living. Usually for assisted living, there'll be an assessment, and, they have to be able to exit a building within 5 minutes and things like that. There's a lease that's signed. So we, of course, want everyone that's there to be safe and appropriate. So there's definitely a time in which we make sure those things are happening. It's just in a less formal way, I guess you would say. There's not a formal assessment because we're unlicensed.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I'll have questions about path to safety and the time frame that they need to be able to get in case there's a fire or something like that. What are some safety measures you guys put in place to make sure those things are covered? Yes,
because we do want everyone to be safe, even though we don't have regulations that are given to us, to follow. So we have lots of fire drills. We have tornado drills. We have even like elopement type things that we go through with our staff. Okay. And, we just had active shooter training a couple weeks ago for our staff. So there's definitely, measures that we have in place to make sure everyone's safe. So, yeah.
So with elopement, I guess kind of in your environment, because I'm always thinking of like skilled nursing facilities and memory care and different things. It just seems different in that environment.
It does, because they're independent.
They can come and go as they want, right?
Right, so and that's true. So that's definitely gray. So we do end up having some people that have some early dementia and things like that. So, we're just always making sure that the environment that we're providing for what they're dealing with is appropriate. So if they were to, have an advanced dementia or Alzheimer's, that they were at risk for just walking out, that we would notice that and then say to family, like, hey, your family member is probably in need of memory care. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
that time for like a locked unit and other safety measures, a higher level of care. So,
And when you make that referral, I mean, I'm sure that's a difficult conversation to
Mm-hmm.
have. Well, let me back up. How do you have that conversation, and what are your, I guess, solutions that you present to them?
yeah. So oftentimes with dementia and Alzheimer's, it is a gradual process, and everyone's different. So that process, there are things that are the same, for those patients, but there's also things that are different. So we really get to know our residents very well. So we know their baseline. We know what their normal behaviors are. I mean, even our dining staff and our housekeeping staff. So when things start to seem off and just not right,
Mm-hmm.
we'll definitely be contacting the family members, friends, things like that to have those conversations. Things are changing. That way, it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's usually not a surprise. You can watch those things happen.
So the family is already has some hints
Yeah.
that maybe that's coming,
Yes.
and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of give them a heads up of what a memory care is like, and that sort of thing. Yeah,
And
that's great.
give recommendations when asked. And
Yeah.
we try to stay in touch with, the community and different facilities to see what openings are available. Memory care is really difficult. There's oftentimes not a lot of openings in the area, So I think it's really sad. A lot of times family members will have to figure out really how to provide that care, and which I know you guys can help with some of those things, but really have to figure out how to provide that care until, a bed comes open.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Are there more than one Waterford?
no, we're actually owned by Sonita Senior Living based out of Dallas. And we just found out last Wednesday, we are in the process of acquiring about 69 other communities across the country.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a big change. It should happen the end of Q1, beginning of Q2, 2026. So our geographic footprint is going to be very different.
Will that have impacts on Springfield?
Day to day, no, it really won't. I'm sure there'll be some changes made in reporting structure and regions and things like that. But day to day, the community, it should not look any different. So we're the only Sonita living community in Springfield. So,
Okay.
and there's only 2 other ones in Missouri. So they don't have a very big footprint here. Who knows? That could change. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So like referral wise, or like, is it mainly people direct from the community, or are you getting referrals from like skilled nursing facilities that are like, I don't think they're ready to go home, or families are coming to you that they got somebody in the skilled nursing facility or something?
It's definitely a variety. My favorite referral is word of mouth by, a resident that we have that says, hey, my neighbor, Bob, really needs a place to live. And, so I love those referrals, those word of mouth, or a family member that says, oh, my mom is there. You should look into things for your mom. And I know around this area, word of mouth is a big deal. So that's my favorite. And then, of course, rehab communities or skilled communities where their patients aren't ready to go home, or they're never going to be, ready to go home, and they need a higher level of care. So definitely from there. And then we have some partners like A Place for Mom, caring.com, and then other community partners, financial advisors, realtors, elder law attorneys, there's really anyone who knows a senior citizen that needs maintenance-free living and amenities. So anybody can be a referral. Everyone knows somebody, right?
Yeah. It's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of that, do you have experience with your own family that you had to go, okay, it's time to move to a different setting or transition to a different setting?
I have not ever been the one responsible for those decisions. I have observed those relationships in my family. And one thing I've learned firsthand from, family members, and then also from being in this role, is it's an emotional decision. So very few people wake up and say, I want to move out of my house that I've been in for 40 years and go live in an apartment.
Right.
It's just not common.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's very emotional and it's a process. It's typically not something that's a quick decision. There are those quick moves where somebody needs something now, but for independent living, it's usually a process. So there are families that I've worked with for years, and I'm just now seeing, kind of the end of that process happen. So it is very, very individualized for sure. And people start the process at different stages. I'll talk to somebody on the phone that calls in with questions and they're looking 5 years out, or they just got discharged from the hospital and they've realized, oh, I'm in over my head. I really do need help. Like my family's been telling me and my doctor has said, what can we do?
Yeah.
So everyone starts that journey at a different time. So the approach is different.
Yeah.
Really, because you have to meet them where they are. I know what we offer and I love it. I'm excited about it. But if I'm, working with a sweet lady that just lost her husband a month ago, and now she's just lost and she feels alone and she doesn't really know what to do, financially speaking, taking care of a home, she's not really excited. And so I got to tone that down and really meet them in that spot that they're in, and have some empathy and some understanding. And it requires some discovery time and talking to them and asking questions. It's not a, slap the solution on here and one size fits all deal.
What surprises people the most about moving in, or even just calling and finding out information?
Sometimes there's some sticker shock if no one has ever looked into senior living. They'll automatically ask what the rates are. And I want to talk about, what do you need? What are your needs? Let's talk about that first. But sometimes, there are certain people, especially sons, that are shopping for their mother or father. They want to get right to it. Just tell me, what's that bottom line? So sometimes there's sticker shock. Of course, if you talk with them like, okay, let's think about the money they're not spending on groceries and maintaining their car and maintaining their home and things like that. They quickly come around to see that, oh, it is actually, a good value for what you're getting. But I think what I love to see the most when someone does move in, if they've been socially isolated, and they've really not been around people, and they'll tell you, oh, I'm not social. I really don't want to be involved. But then to watch them, they don't even know what they're missing. And it's so cool to watch them form just relationships and friendships. We had a couple about a month ago that got married. So
wow.
There's all kinds of relationships that form. And a lot of times it's just companionship. And but that is just hands down my favorite thing to watch. And they are not going to tell you that they need socialization. They're most of the time not going to come right out and say, I'm lonely. I need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
You find that out from all the questions that you ask. Had one guy, he came in, I think he's lived with us for 3 years, and he was in his early 80s, and he said, Emily, I will come eat dinner in the dining room, but do not ask me to come to activities. I won't do it. I'm not a social guy and I don't want to. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to force you ever, Well, he is involved in our resident food committee. He is a resident ambassador. He comes to so many things. He even helps lead some activities. And he's just Mr. Socialite, know, and he didn't know that about himself. And so it's just fun to watch.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Are you full?
Almost. We're 95% occupancy right now,
That's
which is
awesome.
exciting. And it's vibrant. You know, when I arrived at the Waterford, we were like in the 60s for our occupancy. I think we got as low as 64. And it was still great and it was wonderful. But the more people you have, the more fun we have. And it's just alive. You know, people will come in to tour and look around. And I think they're just surprised at what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, this summer we had a hot dog eating contest. What? Who does that? You know, we have happy hours 4 times a week. So there's a lot of
That's
fun,
cool.
exciting things that go on, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of negative misinformation out there about what senior living is really
Depressing.
like. Well, there's a lot of negative news out there, unfortunately. And those are so far and few between. The number of facilities that are in the United States is crazy. And, you know, this one-off situation
Yes.
sometimes comes to the surface and they're like, you know, and some people just don't know. And so they assume that it's just people lined up with wheelchairs or something. And it's just not the way it is.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. They are, and I kind of want to ask people that have that viewpoint. Is there a certain age that you hit where life just kind of like, I don't know, stops being what it was?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't. So it's just so ironic to me that people think that, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like living in a dorm.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh gosh, no thanks. No thanks.
Okay, maybe not a college.
My
dorm,
daughter's in a dorm right now. The stories I hear.
Oh boy.
She's done. She's already like, can I move out?
Yeah. The cleaner, happier, more clean, fun
Yeah.
type place. Yeah. Awesome.
So prior to the Waterford, you worked in the NICU for more than 10 years.
I did.
Walk us through that and how you transitioned into senior
Right?
living.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
It's so funny. When I first started nursing school, we went through our gerontology section and I was like, I do not want to ever work with seniors. I never want to work with mental health or in a burn unit. Those were like the things I had that list of the things that I did not want to do. So I went to work in the NICU and I loved it. It was very rewarding. It was, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I could never do that with, you know, little tiny babies. And it's so rewarding, you know? And then I just gradually realized I wanted a change and I left acute care and I went into post-acute care into pediatrics.
Okay.
And I did that for a few years. And then I started, while I was at that company, I started to learn more about home health and hospice and just started asking more questions and getting involved in some things. And before you know it, I was working with seniors and on that side of things. So it really is not what I thought, you know, when I was first sitting in nursing school thinking, I don't want to work with seniors. It wasn't like what I thought.
What really changed your mind then? What was it about it?
I think I just had to be exposed to it. I can't think of like a certain incident that just, you know, flipped it, and it was a gradual, just learning about them and just learning that I like to sit down and talk with them and hear their stories. And I know that sounds so cliche, like, you know, they just need somebody to listen. But it's so true. It does take a little extra time sometimes to communicate with seniors because of various reasons. So you do have to make yourself slow down a lot. And once you are there, the things that you will learn and hear are just, they're amazing. So it was a process for sure.
We're trying to encourage more young people to come into the elder care world. There's a whole, a whole scope, not just in healthcare necessarily, but what would you say to some young people who are trying to consider what to do with their career?
I would say that we often discount what seniors have to say because we think it's old-fashioned or that's outdated. Well, to some extent, things have changed. Sure, things are different, but there are so many things that are just still important, you know? And if you will just take the time and listen, I think you would be surprised. And I love to see those like intergenerational programs. Our activity director, Cheyenne, is phenomenal. And she had a group from Parkview High School. She had the DECA group come over. And so that's a group of high schoolers that, and I don't want to butcher like what DECA is, but you know, they're wanting to learn all about being a professional. And so she paired them up with our residents, and they really had time to sit down and talk with each other. And that was really fascinating to watch. And, you know, we have little preschoolers that come in too for music with our residents. So I love to see those intergenerational mixings and things. So yeah, it is awesome.
Funny how you skip a generation or two and they connect really well for some reason. True. Like they don't like their parents, but they love their grandparents, you know, and that connection's really tight. Yeah, I love that.
What are some of the misconceptions you might encounter when people ask you questions about the Waterford?
I think that people, like we talked about earlier, they have this idea that it's depressing and there's nothing to do. The food is terrible. I'm going to be bored. Or even on the flip side, maybe it's too busy and it's too social. And I like to kind of keep to myself. So I do like to tell people you can really make it what you want. So for example, let's just take dining, because that can be quite the social interaction. You know, if you wake up and you have a day that you want to see all the people, come have lunch at 11:30 and you will be surrounded by people. If you wake up and you're like, you know what, I really don't want to talk to anybody today. I'm in that kind of a mood. Then come have lunch at 1 and bring your book and sit at a table and eat alone. You can make it what you want. It doesn't have to be a big, fun social party all the time, you know? And if you want to be that person that is busy, you know, you can do that too. So it really is not a one size fits all, and you can make it what you want. You know, same things with the outings that we have. You know, we'll go to the symphony, we'll go to the casino. We have happy hours, we have church services. You know, we try to really be well-rounded and offer things that are appealing to different people. You know? So
that's cool.
Yeah.
We just did a podcast recently on bucket lists.
Ooh, I love that.
Talking about, you know, end of life stuff, but making plans and not wasting a moment. Do you have anything special on your bucket list?
Ooh, I want to skydive.
Oh man,
yes. I know. You do too?
I do too.
On my list, like, no thanks.
But you haven't done it?
Haven't done it. I won't bungee jump. See, I have a fear of heights, but heights in terms of like rooftops or overlooking a building or a cliff face or something like that. I don't like that. If I'm in the air, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any, like parasailing, not a problem.
I've never been.
But if I'm connected to like bungee jumping or jumping off a bridge, forget it. I won't do it.
But yes.
But skydive. Yes.
Just that feeling of like that initial thrill.
Yeah.
Has got to be so good of just like taking that first step. I want to do it so bad.
Okay. Well, we'll help finance that. We'll get it scheduled next week and we'll record the whole thing.
Wait, it's too cold. It needs to
Maybe
be
next year.
It'll warm up next week, right? I think it's supposed to be 70 today.
Well,
perfect.
Yeah. True.
Anything else on your bucket list that you think of?
Ooh, that's the biggest one. That's like the, I don't know. I think I need to make a bucket list. I think I do. I love that.
It was very enlightening for us, I have to say. Yeah.
I bet.
What about travel? Any place you really want to go?
So I've really never been, I've been to Mexico, but I've not been out of the country other than that. So I really just want to go to Europe and just see things and eat good things. And, you know, I would love to go to Europe.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You just got to set a date and just make it happen.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
We do have a program at the Waterford called Tree of Dreams.
Oh, tell us about it.
So it's like a bucket list. So our activity director gets with our residents and she asks them, you know, what are some things that you wish you could have done or would like to do or you miss doing? So we've had some interesting ones. You know, we don't have a big budget for it. So we try to connect with people in the community, but one guy, Larry, wanted to go see Willie Nelson. So we took him and several other residents to see Willie Nelson.
Wow.
One of our residents,
That's
Virgie,
cool.
she used to ride horses when she was young, and she just wanted to get on a horse again. So we had a gentleman come and bring his horses, and we helped her get up on the horse and ride the horse, you know? So
Yeah.
if you guys ever want to partner up on that and provide some dreams.
Okay. Yeah. Call us.
That's
up.
awesome.
We'll be happy
Yeah.
to help out where we can.
Yeah.
I might have been at that Outlaw Music Festival with you guys. I'm not entirely sure.
Was it in Camdenton?
It was actually in St.
Oh,
Louis when
Okay.
we went.
We
but
that was a little too far for
Yeah.
us. We went to Camdenton.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So you've had a broad career in a lot of different areas.
Mhm.
Do you have other goals for your career?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I don't know what that looks like specifically. I love being at the Waterford. So for now, that's where I feel like I'm meant to be, and
Yeah.
I'm happy and I enjoy it. We have 131 residents. So it's like having, 131 grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles, so it would be really difficult to leave. So I don't know. I don't think I want to be back in healthcare. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, it has.
And I still have my nursing license. I still maintain that, but I really don't want to use it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure.
It's all good.
Yeah. I need to sit down and make a bucket list and set some goals.
Well, I'm only asking because I've just got through doing it. And
We
I
just
hadn't
did it
done
last
till-
week.
Oh,
So it's fresh for us too.
yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm asking tough questions. So.
that was a tough one. That was a really tough one. I was not prepared for that.
What's one resident story that has stuck with you or taught you something meaningful?
Ooh, that's a good one. Gosh, there are several. I know I'll just use one lady and I won't bring, her name into the mix. But when she came to live with us, she was just not taking care of herself. And she was on a lot of medications, and her nutrition was not good. She actually had alpha-gal, which is starting to be really common. But it was difficult for her to prepare food. She got tired of what she had to eat. And then she was also somewhat socially isolated, and depressed. So, and when she did move in, she had a dog. And anyways, shortly after moving in, she quickly just started to kind of perk up and improve. She cut her medications in half. I mean, she was on 30 something and ended up being on 15. She just ate so much better. She started making friends. Her sweet dog got sick and she had to put him down. And she was just really sad. So we found out that his favorite food was, of all, and I don't know how she discovered this, but it was chicken livers. So
Wow.
the day before she took him to be put down, we went and got him some chicken livers and took that, to her apartment, and he had his last meal. And the next day she had to take him to be put down, and that was really hard, but it was just really cool to be able to be there for her, and just to watch her health change, and her depression and anxiety and things to just improve so much, so drastically.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the more impactful, residents that I think of. So
I mean, the underlying message for me is that you should really never give up.
No.
I think people, as they get older, they think, well, I'm at an age where this is where I'm at.
I know.
And they
I
don't
think
know they still need to fight.
Yeah. Well, I think they don't know what their purpose is.
Right.
Because they've lived their life, doing this for their career, and then they retire. And so then they figure out retirement, and maybe they have hobbies that they do, but then they start having health issues to where they can't even do those hobbies anymore.
Mhm.
And then they can't drive.
Right.
And then they're just lost,
Yeah.
you know, because they just do not know what their purpose is,
Yeah.
you know. And you guys should get on our Facebook page.
Mhm.
But a few days ago, our activity director got a lot of our residents in the same room, and she just walked around to them and asked them different things that they did in our community. And, you know, there's one gentleman, for instance, every night, his job, because he's made it his job, is to turn out the lights on his hallway. So he helps the person at the front desk and he turns the lights out. And he loves that. Like, he never misses doing it. And it sounds so like small and maybe meaningless to some people, but you know, he's proud of that he helps and he turns out the lights every night, you know? So
Help is help.
yeah, absolutely. So if we can give anybody a little bit of purpose and, hey, if I'm not here, I would be missed, you know, that's a lot. That can really change someone's life.
Well, there's no shortage of people who need help, and those seniors can definitely help each other too. And that sense of purpose can come from just helping each other oftentimes. And I've seen that a lot, it seems like, in my career.
Yeah, we had a lady move in a few months ago, and she lived in the same house for 62 years.
Wow.
And it was so hard for her to make a change and move someplace else, you know, but I was able to connect her with other people that had been through similar things. And so they could encourage her and say, you know what, it was really hard for me too. And you're not alone. Like, I had to do this, and here's what helped me, and let me help you, you know? So there's a lot of camaraderie. And when you find somebody that's been through what you've been through, no matter what it is, you know, we're the same way. You know, if you can find somebody that has something in common with you, you know, that is very meaningful.
Yeah.
So when they can connect with other seniors that have been through what they're struggling with, it is empowering, and it is just a game changer for them. So.
It is interesting. I don't know that interesting is the right word, but how many couples where one of the couple will pass away and the other one's still left at home in isolation, and how quickly that other person passes. And you wonder if that's that connection battery being depleted, you know, and they need that. And I think sometimes younger families don't always recognize, or younger family members who are, you know, caring for that individual or keeping an eye on them, don't always 100% recognize that that's a daily need.
Right.
And so, you know, they're like, well, we'll come over and see mom on the weekend or whatever. But, you know, they really need to, it's not just the medication. It's not just the food. It's not just the, you know, keeping them from having falls at home. It is very much tying them into some social connection, because isolation is just very damaging to people, I think.
It is. And then we see families that they try so hard because mom or dad want to stay at home. So they're bending over backwards, trying to maintain their own life, but then providing that support to their parents or loved one. And so then when those things aren't being taken care of, there's guilt, you know, and so there's emotions there too. You know, have family members, sons and daughters come in, and, you know, they just feel bad. They just feel guilty, like they failed. And it's like, no, you haven't, you know, at all. You know, let us help you.
Right.
Because you can't necessarily fill that gap for socialization. You know, they need that relationship with you, but they also need that relationship with other people their age, you know, that aren't family members. So
yeah, you know, I love you, but I need somebody else in my life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how do you help families navigate that mix of fear, guilt, and hope that comes with that type of decision? Again,
it's really meeting them where they are and listening to them. Sometimes, and everyone's different, right? There'll be sons that walk into our community and we sit down and talk, And to get them to open up is, a little bit of work because they don't want to talk about emotions and those things, So it truly just takes some time and listening and lots of, asking questions if they're not readily, wanting to talk about that. So, and then family dynamics are just vastly different. You guys know that. So not every family
have you been put
is
in the middle at any point.
Currently going through that right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's fine. I don't mind at all. It's not uncomfortable. I do awkward well. And I don't know why. I just do. It really just, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So I help them navigate that and be neutral, so, but it's definitely different for every family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me ask a kind of back to a kind of practical money question. You mentioned the VA kind of helps out, but are there other resources that people can tap into to be able to afford independent living a little bit more?
It really depends on the financial planning that they've done personally. So if they do own their home and they're going to sell their home, obviously there's money from the sale of their home that's available.
Mm-hmm.
If they have, different accounts set up and money saved, they can tap into that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are people that didn't, adequately prepare financially, and that can be challenging.
Yeah.
Because they have that really, they have that budget that they have got to stay within. So, unfortunately, again, Medicare, Medicaid, none of that funds independent living. So it really just goes back to how they've prepared, financially over the course of their life. And there's a lot of them that are like that generation, I think, that they have prepared adequately, but they don't want to let go of it. And they want to leave it.
Like,
they want to
hang
leave
on
it
to
for
it.
their kids. And it's just like this grip, like, I have it, but I don't want to part with it, So it a lot of times takes the kids saying, Mom, we don't need your money. That money is for you to spend on you. Use it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that takes, those family members, verbally saying that and supporting them.
My grandparents were stubborn.
Yeah.
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 They didn't want to deal with any of that.
Yeah. And that's hard. I mean,
it is.
And sometimes, ultimately that's their decision, so you can lay it out in a way that's very understandable and makes sense. But at the end of the day, if they don't want to part with that money, it's really hard. So, and I think a lot of people just end up kind of, I don't want to say suffering, but they just scrape by, being at home and being, again, if someone can be at home as long as possible, I fully support that. I think that's amazing and beautiful. Everyone's situation is different, but
how do you best educate families when it comes to independent living and showing them all the benefits in a sense?
It's really, I could sit there and just, word vomit all the benefits. What good does that do? My mom maybe doesn't care about, having all these activities if she's, not social or doesn't want those things. So that does no good. So it's discovery, and it's connecting with that family to understand what their needs are, what their family members' needs are, and then showing them what you have that can meet those needs. So again, it's listening instead of just saying, hey, we're here. This is what we do. We can make your life amazing. It's listening to what they need and going from there,
Right on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yep.
One of the things that and we haven't gone down this road yet because we haven't had a insurance expert on the show quite yet. And we want to dig in and get the latest information, but I just like to mention it in that it may be possible that somebody has a long-term care insurance that will allow them to make payments to Waterford and then somehow get reimbursed some of that potentially. Not saying that's always the case,
Right.
but it depends on the insurance. And then I've heard that some people can do what's called kind of like a reverse life insurance policy.
Yes, which is a relatively new thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting.
Yeah. And it can mean the difference in them being able to, not go on Medicaid, not go into a skilled nursing facility in that situation when it's not really appropriate for the level of care that they're in.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Because that's never good, to see those situations to me are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To see somebody go into a nursing home that really, they don't need that. They just don't have any other options.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know there's family members out there that are probably listening right now that are like, I don't know how to start to have this conversation with mom. I don't even know how to get her to the facility to show her the place. What advice would you give them?
So start gently. I think that's obvious. If you've never talked about it, don't be too aggressive and pushy. I love to have people in and just have them for lunch. And if they want to walk around and, tour the community, great. If not, just come in for lunch or find out what activities we have. We have a lot of live music events. So if people like live music, come in for an event.
Yeah.
And
what a great idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I'm here, I'm seeing what's going on. This is not like what I thought it was. And it kind of just like helps them let their guard down a little bit because you're kind of breaking those myths and those things. So those are always options. Also, sometimes it's really good for seniors to have conversations with non-family members. So, say what you can, but there's a point where you might make it worse if you keep pushing, and they will receive information from a neutral source or from a non-family member a lot easier than they will from a son or a daughter, and that's nothing against them. It's just is what it is, Yeah. So there are definitely creative ways around that. And it just depends on the situation because everybody's different. Some people want to know all the facts and they want to know every little detail. I will have tours that are 3 hours long.
Wow.
And that's fine too.
Yeah.
They might want all those things answered right away. But that might be a little much for some people right up front. Maybe they just need to kind of see what it's about.
Yeah.
And just know that the food is really good and not bad. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So the best advice would be don't have a conversation, just invite them to lunch or to an event
hey,
and
Mom,
just
I'm gonna come pick
show
you
up
for
at
lunch.
the Waterford and there you go.
Yeah, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded outside of work?
Ooh. So I love people. So I think it's through all the relationships that I have so many great friends. I'm just busy. I love to be doing anything that's going on. So many friends. I love my family. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 21, graduating college this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then my daughter, she's 18. She just started at jury. And then I have my youngest is 14. So I still have one at home. So, and then my husband is amazing. He works for Jack Henry. But we love to travel. We love to get out and do things. And then I'm very involved in my church with various groups. And I can't imagine, not having that group of people too. So just being surrounded by people and doing the things that I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I obviously love to share anything about senior living. And I try to, even if it's not specifically the community at the Waterford at Iron Bridge, I tell people all the time, just pay attention to what you feel like when you walk into a community. That's important. How it makes you feel. It's kind of like that first impression that never goes away, but it's valuable. So just, keep in tune to that. And then I just love to connect families and seniors to resources too. So I really try to keep up on those relationships in the community. So even if it's not about senior living per se, just, hey, I need an elder law attorney that really knows, what they're doing, or, a financial advisor. I love to connect people with resources that are trustworthy and that I've vetted out myself. So just really connecting people to resources as well.
I love that.
So, yeah.
We try here on the podcast to bring up, facilities, people who work in different areas in elder care that, there's just a lot of pitfalls out there and a lot of unknown, a lot of myths, a lot of, and there are things that people shouldn't wait on to make a decision about or to move forward with. And we just don't want them to wait too long, and just try to get as much information as they can and us, help give them some guidance in the right direction. And so you've really helped us today, and you've helped our listeners today kind of understand kind of the ins and outs of it, and, some of the challenges and that sort of thing, but all the great things about the Waterford. And
absolutely,
we really appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. It was good. And I'll get started on my bucket list.
Yes, that's awesome. Please share that with us when you know more.
Skydiving
and scheduling the skydive.
We are going to schedule it for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And we'd love to stay connected. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram at In Good Company Elder Care Podcast.
You can also find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IGC Pod, and on TikTok at IGC Elder Care Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to In Good Company Elder Care in Your Backyard. I'm John Ray, and I've been joined by my amazing co-host, Spencer Ernst. Special thanks to our executive producer, Alex Wallace, for helping bring this show to life. Until next time, take care, and remember, you are always in good company.